guys, Kim Adsit. It's Tuesday afternoon, and I've come to do a live on magnetic letters. I usually do live on Sunday, probably all of y'all know that, but the last 2 Sundays I've been traveling. For the last 3 Sundays I've been traveling because I've had training every Monday. So I've missed being here on Sundays, but I decided to hop on here today and show you some ideas to use with magnetic letters. Here's what I know. Kids do not like magnetic letters. I mean, maybe they do like them, but with all the other centers in the classroom, I would have magnetic letters and no one goes to them. So I decided that I needed to prop up that center with some ideas. I needed to scaffold them with some things that they could do so that when they did go over there would be some productive play. So one thing that I did was I made some sorting mats. Now, let me get this right here. This one is just one where they're sorting by straight letters and curvy letters. You could do letters in my name, letters not in my name. You could do capital letters and lowercase letters. You can think of any way to sort, but what's really the best thing to do is after your kids get really good at doing this is to give them a blank sorting mat. Have one child create a sort, come up with a way to sort. Then they show it, see, because that's at the create level on Bloom's taxonomy, okay? So we're already going at a higher level, right? So then they take their sort and they show it to a friend, and then they see if their friend can figure out what their sort is, and then they create the labels for their sort. So you would want to, in your small group, model that. Model using your own sorting mats for a couple days, and then come back and show them how to create their own sort and see if they can guess it. Okay? Now here's another idea that I like to do. I made these cards and I put an empty box in the middle of those, and then I have some where the empty box is at the beginning and some where the empty box is at the end. Then they're going to take the magnetic letters and they've got to put them in where what letter is missing. So we have N, O, P, U, V, W, J, K, L, L, M, N, V, W, X. Now, of course, these are harder. These right here where you have the empty box at the beginning. Okay, so the kids have to learn how to either say it and stop when they get there, or if your kids are having trouble with this, just give them a letter train. You can find a lot of bulletin board border that has the letters on it, or just show them how to use the one in your room. But on this one, they would fill in the letters at the beginning, which makes that much more challenging than when it's not at the beginning, okay? All right, here's another easy one. I made these. I just went through my clip art, and I found pictures that start with each letter of the alphabet. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to take their magnetic letters and they're going to put them by what letter they start with, all right? So they just match them up here by what letter each picture starts with. R. What is R? My grandson, I had all these laid out, and he decided to help me out a little bit, and so some of them got a little bit mixed up. So just matching up the beginning sound, okay? So then I made them where I could do the ending sound too. Let me get my magnetic letters over here. Now, these are magnetic letters that I have here at the house for the grandbabies to play with, but I'll post a picture later on today on my Facebook page to show you a great way to organize magnetic letters, okay? Using some little drawers. It's actually an idea that I learned from a male teacher. He showed me how to do this. It was a guy that I taught with named Doug. So if anybody remembers Doug that taught with me, he actually taught me how to do that. So here we go. So on this one, they're putting in the ending sound. Doug, dog, leaf, bee, duck, and crab. Now, there's no way to find a picture for every ending letter because so many words, they end with one sound but end with a different letter. So I wanted to do this where I put the letter that the word actually ended with because I was going to associate the letter. If I was just going to have them produce the sound, then I don't worry about it. But if I'm going to have them put the letter, I want to be sure that that word does have the ending letter. Okay? All right, hold on just a minute. Now, this is the part that my grandson kind of really messed up. So give me a minute. I'm going to show y'all what we have here. Okay? Hold on just a second. Let me get it over here. How can you get mad at him when he's playing with magnetic letters, right? Okay, So this is for stretching out your CVC words. So what I did was I made a card, and I made a couple cards for each vowel. So these are all short I. So the kids would make the word. So we would have pen. Well, that's not pen. This one is pen. That would be sit. Okay, so I would put that one on there. Sit. Got to find my T. All right, you would know. Here we go. Sit, and then pen, and then lip. I will say that I'm sure there's easier ways to figure this kind of stuff out. I'm sure you can buy whole clip art sets that are like this, but it took me forever to go through and find the clip art so that I could have it for each vowel sound. Okay, so you get the idea. They go down, all of them short I. So that makes it easier for them because they know that all these words are going to have the short I. So if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, give your kids instead, hold on a second, getting down on the floor. And where'd those go? Here they are. Give your children cards and cut the cards apart. So instead of leaving them whole like this, cut them apart. And then they'll have cards that have short A, short I, short E, short O. Okay, now these all do have short A, okay, but they would make the word same way, except for they would just be making one card at a time, okay? Now, I'm calling this a cap, but if your kids get something of this and they make it the word hat, of course we're going to let that be okay, all right? So don't worry so much. It's kind of like if this. I'm calling it a pan. If they call it a pot, then I'm not going to worry about that, especially if they're still stretching out words, okay? All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is a word family practice, okay? So what we did was I made different cards. These are all my short A cards, but I made cards for each vowel. And then I picked a word family. All right, so this is the at family. And then what the kids will do is they'll look through the sets of cards and they'll find all the pictures that end with the at sound. There again, you could cut these apart or you can leave them as one thing. So then all they have to do is fill in that missing letter at the beginning. What letter does each one start with, okay? And then they would have their word family words there. Now, as you've probably noticed, I'm not showing you any recording pages. And here's why. I made these so that my kids could do these at centers. I don't want to check any pages. I want them to go over there. I want them to be productive. Not everything we do we have to have a recording page for. Okay? All right. Now, one more thing. I'll get two more things, but the next one I'm going to show you is a word ladder. Now, I love word ladders. But what I found is when kids are trying to do a paper pencil, it's too hard because they don't have the, I'm not sure exactly how to explain it. They don't have the ability to take one letter out and put another in and remember the sequence of all the letters. But this way, they can actually manipulate the letters and it makes it easier. So, because this would be, of course, at that conceptual level, right? So we're going to find the letters to spell rug. All right? So what we're doing here is we're going from run to rug because we changed one letter. We changed from the N to a U, but the other two letters stayed the same. So now we have to say the word jug. So now which letter do we need to change? We need to change the letter at the beginning. All right? And then we go to jig. So now what letter do we need to change? We need to change the letter at the end. And then we go to dig. And so now we need to change the letter, change the letter at the beginning, okay? So they go through and they change just one letter to get to the next word. Now I have the pictures over here, so they could just be doing CVC, but if you're doing this small group, you really want to say, okay, if I'm moving from run to rug, what letter do we hear that is different in those two words, okay? All right, one more idea. And this is probably their favorite, okay? And here's what we're going to do. I made these, I do a lot of magnifying games, a ton, but I made these real generic to go into my magnetic letters. And what I did was I just took this little magnifying glass clip art, and then I inserted a text box, and I made the word really small. So these have sight words on them, okay? So the kids take a magnifying glass and they hold it over to see what word it is. Now, if I look really close, I can see the word without the magnifying glass, but you know they're going to want to use the magnifying glass, okay? So this one says go, so then they would lay their magnifying glass down and they would make the word go. Now here's why this is so much better than just putting the whole word card go out there for them to see. It's because what we know about how kids learn a word. So the first thing we want to do is we want to show kids the word, okay? And we want to discuss the word. We want to talk about the word. And then we want to hide the word. And we want the kids to make the word without looking. So if you put out a word like go, they might just put down the G and then they look at you. Because what they're doing is they're only looking at the first letter. They're not looking all the way through the word. They're not looking at the word as a unit. Okay? So if they do that, if they just put out the G, then they mess their word up. So they would put their G back and then they start over again. So they look at the word again, and then they go and make a second attempt. So each time, if they don't do the whole word, when they go to do it again, they start over. That's why you don't want to do this with paper pencil. You want to do it with the magnetic letters. You could use a magnadoodle, a salt tray, something that is not frustrating when they have to erase it and start over. Now, I did a blog post. It's already up. It's got all these ideas. It explains to you about that, how kids learn sight words, okay? So you can go there and you can check that out. I hope you have a great week. Many of you will probably be out on Friday. I know some of you have to go next week, but we're out on Friday, so we're already planning our events next week for our family. So I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. I might hop back on here again later in the week or the first part of next week. I've got some really fun ideas for retelling, and I've got a fun Thanksgiving story that I wanted to show you. So I might hop back on here this coming up weekend to show you that. But until then, y'all have a great evening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.